Welcome back to another segment of Behind the Scenes of the Waltons. Earlier this week, I did a special birthday greeting for Richard Thomas. Well, as it turns out, Kami Cotler also has a birthday this week. So I thought I'd take a moment to just do a special shout out to Cammy for her birthday as well. Of course, my relationship with Cammy started in the homecoming when we spent those 5 weeks together. And she was just, I believe, 6 years old at the time. And she was this just bright, adorable, so natural, so easy to get along with. I don't remember Cammy ever being one who whined or complained or was difficult. She was just part of the group and grown up beyond her years, and yet still this child. But she was just such fun, and she had so many standout moments in the homecoming. In the barn cracking walnuts when she says, "Stop laughing at me, stop laughing at me," and being so young and so unused to being in front of a camera, and yet she was unself-conscious. She did, in that moment, glance at the camera. You sort of see her eye come to the camera when she says, "Stop laughing at me." But it doesn't matter because you can feel like she's looking at somebody else within the circle that just happens to be where the camera is. And who can forget that wonderful scene up in the loft with Elizabeth and Jim Bob, where she talks about wanting to have puppies instead of babies, and Jim Bob being the one who tries to explain that she can't have puppies. And I think one of the most classic moments is when she turns in this beautiful close-up and says,
"I don't feel like a pissant."
There, you see.
it's just so natural. She was the most unaffected little actress, that she was just always so believable. She never seemed like a child trying to act or trying to do anything in particular. She just, with the help of her mom, learned her lines and said them in the most believable way. I think she just innately had an understanding of the circumstances and just spoke like she would speak. So I just thought she was so brilliant and so natural at all of it. I remember in the homecoming, we all had tights that we wore with our dresses, and they were so tight. And I remember whoever was helping her dress at one point trying to get her tights all the way up, and it was literally lifting Cammy off the ground as they tried to pull the tights up. That's how light and small she was. So those just fun behind the scenes things. Or up in the homecoming building, I think it was her and her mom and dad and her brother Jeffrey. They were the ones who started, I think, building the snowmen up there in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. So just wonderful memories of my earliest interactions with Cammy as we started this lifelong friendship. Once the series started, she was still the youngest. She was always the baby, and so always being carried around. I think everybody carried her pretty much at some point. Those of us who were big enough and strong enough to carry her around. She was in laps, and she was, and we took care of her. We just guided her, and in scenes, if we all needed to be someplace, we would just sort of guide her and take her along with us. And she just was always willing to come with us. But it was so fun watching her grow over the years, and to go from someone that was like, "Oh, she's a little kid." The older kids didn't necessarily include her in everything. But then over the seasons, as she grew up in real life, and more we included her in things, and both on and off the set. I remember taking her shopping. She wanted to buy clothes and didn't quite know where to go or what to do. And I know I was one of the people that took her out at one point and helped her get some coordinated outfits for things. And so we had those types of experiences. Or the girls would go out to lunch at times, later after after the series. But, she was always so smart and prepared, and we never had to wait for her. It wasn't, oh, Cammy's messing up her lines, we have to do it again. No, she was always 100% reliable. So that was kudos to her. I never really thought twice about it because I was sort of like that as a child. I always knew my lines. I always knew everybody's lines. And I think Cammy was a lot like that. So it just seemed, well, of course, I expect that. We never really had to wait on any of the younger cast having to blow their lines and do it over and over. We all blew lines at times and had to do it again, but it wasn't a perpetual thing because she was the littlest. She was just right there. She may not have always totally understood what she was saying or what was happening all the time, but she knew what she was supposed to be doing, and she did it. She was always a very bright child in school as well. So it wasn't a big surprise that she has grown up to become an intelligent, competent, grounded individual in life. She's never been one who's had an ego or been affected by the fame that she has. She just went into education because it appealed to her. She went to college and finally decided that was the direction she wanted to go. I have no doubt she was a brilliant teacher and that her students adored her. I am certain. She did go and teach in Virginia, Nelson County, where Earl was from. So that must have been a real treat for people in the area, and just to get to know her as a real person. So I continue to enjoy my interactions with her at various different Walton functions, or when we get together just in person and go places or do things or meet up for personal events, family events within our own personal lives. So she's just someone that I feel close to and who has been a part of my life forever, and that I am so grateful to have as part of my life. So I hope that she is celebrating a very special, wonderful birthday. She so deserves it. And I look forward to continuing to have more fun interactions with her in many years to come. So happy birthday, Cammy. Thank you for joining me for this little special birthday tribute to Kami Cotler. I will be back with more behind the scenes of the Waltons, more Ask Judy, and more special guests. Thanks for watching.